Happy New Year to everyone. It's CA Viraj here. It's my privilege and honor to welcome Dr. Khaddar Valli sir, famously known as Millet Man of India.
Viraj, just a second. We will start the session with ICI motto.
Okay, yes.
Yeah. A very good afternoon. The esteemed faculty for today, Dr. Khaddar Valli, Chairman Ahmedabad Branch C. Harit Dariwal, Coordinator for today's session, Viraj ji, senior members and my dear friends, welcome to this unique session on health. Let's start the session with ICI motto. I request everyone to place right hand on your heart for ICI motto.
Yaesha supteshu jagrati Yaesha supteshu jagrati Kamam 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 Purusho nirmimanaha Tadeva shukram Tada Brahma Tadeva mritamuchyate Tasmin lokaha Shataha Sarve taduna Tyadikashcana
Welcome back. I would now request Chairman Ahmedabad Branch C. Harit Dariwal to give opening remarks.
Thank you, Anjali Ben. Very respected faculty for today's session, the Millet Man of India, Dr. Khaddar Valli sir. Welcome from all of us. A big welcome to you, sir. The coordinator for the session, CA Viraj Shah, and all the participants who have joined us. A very good afternoon to all of you. I'll not take a lot of your time. I know you are all waiting to hear to sir, but I'll just share a few important events that are coming at Ahmedabad branch. We are having a very interesting session at 5 o'clock today on the multilateral instruments and section 194 of the Income Tax Act by CA Karan Sukramanani. It is at 5 o'clock today. We are having a Diwali get together on 17th of November. Again, we are coming up with a very interesting RRC at Udaipur in the first week of January. And apart from this, a lot of technical events are also planned up in Ahmedabad branch. So do give us your suggestions and feedback always. Coming to today's session, I think first of all, a big thanks to Viraj bhai. I think thank you for introducing us to such a well-known and such a revered personality. Sir, when we got to know about you and when we read your resume, I'm sure each one of us are very eager to hear you. And we are very happy to have you virtually joining us today, sir. And hopefully, I think in the coming times, you would also want to have your physical presence at Ahmedabad whenever it is convenient to you, sir.
Yes,
and
yes,
thank you,
certainly,
Viraj bhai,
certainly.
for all the coordination. I think he has been working very hard and doing a lot of follow-ups. And sir, it's really hats off to your hard work and dedication that we could have this session today on an afternoon session. So thank you, Viraj bhai, and thank you, sir, for sparing your valuable time. And I would request Viraj bhai to briefly introduce our esteemed faculty today. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Chairman sir, and thank you, sir, for joining us. It's my privilege and honor to welcome you, Dr. Khaddar Valli sir, famously known as Millet Man of India. He is a PhD in steroid from Indian Institute of Science, Bengaluru, and thereafter he worked as an environmental scientist in Oregon, USA. Finding the shortcomings in the application of science for commercial use, he returned to India in 1997. He revived the ancient grain of India and made it quite mainstream, called millets. The miraculous grain, the research on it, and its impact on our health and geographical biodiversity. Sir's vision is a disease-free life and vital health for everyone. He challenges the existing model of medical field quite rebelliously, which is over-dependence on medicines and living with illness chronically. Since past 25 years, Sir has been healing and helping people in reversing chronic diseases like cancer, blood pressure, diabetes, and other non-communicable diseases by bringing a fundamental change in lifestyle, namely food and water and the way we approach nature. Last but not the least, Sir's breakthrough approach is not a mere philosophy, but a fundamental shift in how we approach health and bringing practical and poetic wisdom of how we connect to nature. Sir himself is very connected to nature and in his otherwise very hectic schedule loves listening to chirping of birds coming to his farm. Now, without taking much of the time, let me hand over the virtual platform to him. Welcome, sir.
Thank you. Thank you very much. So, do I speak in English or Hindi?
Yes, sir, English is fine.
Okay, great. Thank you. Thank you. Yes, let's all just pray for a minute, though we have done, ICAI, wonderful prayer. Just let's pray God for 1 minute. Just good afternoon, everyone. And it's been my great desire to actually come to Gujarat, because that's where even today the essence of Indian traditions, that is maintaining the vegetarianism of Indian culture. And in fact, that is the basic concept of the world getting into its real healthy condition is only if the whole human race is vegetarian, then only we can find solutions for this planet. It's not just health alone. For anything and everything, the problems that we are facing today completely are basically because of the human race slowly and steadily shifting towards non-vegetarianism. So the world has to recognize that all our problems are arising because of the food that we have chosen in the last 100 years or 150 years, because we are blindly following the Western concept of health and so-called biological principles. Everything is going completely berserk, and we are creating problems not only for human race, but for many living things on this planet. And in fact, if you concentrate on this so-called Glasgow meeting last 15-20 days ago, the whole planet is being burnt slowly and steadily, and we are all, the whole planet, all the so-called leaders are coming to consensus that we all have to restrict our carbon dioxide emissions or the global warming gas emissions. There are 3 or 4 gases that we are steadily increasing on this stratosphere, and our environment is getting slowly and steadily completely unlivable in a matter of another 40-50 years. So that is the way we're traveling. And it's actually, according to me, too late that these world leaders are talking about just restricting carbon dioxide emissions. There are a lot many more things that have gone wrong on this planet just because we are all turning slowly towards meat eating. Luckily, even today, India's average meat per person consumption in a month is 5 kilos only, whereas in America it is 95 kilos. And all other countries range above 50 kilos. So that is the way, that is the main and single cause. That is the only cause of all our problems in this world, actually. So I want to declare without any hesitation that if the human race becomes vegetarian, all our problems will start disappearing in a matter of 30-40 years. That having said, despite Indians being mostly vegetarian compared to all the other parts of the world, we still are facing many serious chronic illnesses. So let's now jump directly into the most deadly disease that is bothering Indians today, especially Indians, is diabetes. more than 30 to 40 people out of 100 now are either diabetic or close to diabetic condition. And next is the BP, blood pressure. Of course, number of people who are taking blood pressure tablets are actually, according to me, not accounted, because everyone, almost everyone is taking a BP tablet sometime or the other in his lifetime. And thyroid, the gland that has a lot of hormonal balances to be set, that is being disturbed very heavily, especially women, more than men are suffering from this issue. 30% of the women have thyroid problem. So 30 to 40% people have diabetic problem. 40 to 50% people are taking BP tablets. So what's left? Young boys and girls have been added to this list slowly and steadily. Last 10 years, from 2010 to 2020, the number of young boys and girls below 10 becoming diabetic has increased to 8% of all the diabetic patients are young boys and girls. So this is the kind of rise of the diseases that is threatening Indian continent in the last 30, 40 years. And we all have to realize that these conditions are arising because of the changing food habits and food patterns. And the food being industrialized, we all over the world are eating 4 to 5 materials only. That is rice, wheat, sugar, meat, milk, and eggs. Of course, eggs and meat, according to me, are one and the same. In fact, I would like to include milk also into the same group, though many people don't think otherwise. I mean, they think otherwise. Milk is also meat in terms of being liquid, that is it. So these are all the meat products, animal protein, which we are not having hardware to digest. Very simply put. In fact, the mother's milk that a baby drinks also cannot be digested if the boy is crossing between 3.5 to 4 years age. Even if he takes his own mother milk, he cannot digest properly. The enzymes that are responsible for the digestion of the milk are switched off genetically in our tummies when we are boys from 3.5 to 4 years, or girls 3.5 to 4 years. That means the animal protein being digested is not designed in our body properly. The proteins that are accrued from plant materials is what we can actually digest from the peptidases that we have been given, rather blessed with in our digestive canal. So the reason why we have cancer basically is the undigested, rather not digested or not properly digested protein molecules slowly and steadily going and disturbing our genes, the DNA. So the genetic material where the central planning takes place, all the enzymes are designed and produced, everything happens. That central planning room itself is being contaminated with this kind of unwanted materials. And these undigested, rather not properly digested protein molecules have the affinity to stick to many of these DNA molecules and can change the way the DNA molecules function. So the generation of proteins, the generation of enzymes, the dispensing of the various other activities from the central planning room is being disturbed. So wherever there is animal protein being used in large quantities, and then the viral infections that are accrued because of the meat eating. And of course, the environmental spreads of various kinds of viruses, recent experience being COVID-19. And in fact, the COVID-19 virus, the spike protein, is being watched and observed, attaching to itself to DNA, and then we are taken over by the COVID virus gene, taking our cells, genes into their hands, and then we produce only COVID-19 viruses in our body, hence resulting in a lot of deaths. So, and we know the statistics, the meat-eating countries have paid big toll, and our medical field is not acknowledging this sincerely. So the only way human race can protect itself from various kinds of infectious diseases is to turn to vegetarianism, and that too a vegetarianism where microbial balance and glucose balance is preserved. And I will come to this glucose and microbial balances that are being disturbed because of meat eating, hormone imbalance due to milk production in a wrong way, very industrial way of producing milk, including steroids and oxytocin, estrogen, this kind of hormonal residues entering our body. Our girls are menstruating at the age of 8, 9, of late in India too. Of course, in foreign countries, this has happened long ago, 20, 30 years ago. And in the recent past, because we have also been aping these countries, producing the milk in the name of biotechnology, in the name of science, in the name of development, we have been consuming humongous amounts of milk, which we are not supposed to, and causing the microbial, hormonal imbalances in our body and causing many autoimmune diseases. Autoimmune diseases range from various kinds of problems in our body, ultimately disturbing the kidney functions also. Hence, the food that we choose in the last 40, 50 years is the source of all of our diseases, especially the animal protein. And to produce this animal protein in large quantities, to make the cows give milk in large quantities, we are using chemicals, and the feed that we are trying to produce is soybean and sweet corn, the so-called American sweet corn, and the grasses that are genetically modified. So the food that the animals are eating on this planet, especially the pigs, chicken, and the cows, that we are trying to consume as food, the whole world is producing it in large quantities. In fact, 18 billion cows on this planet exist on any given day, and almost 10 billion pigs, and more than 80 to 900 billion chicken. These are all artificially being propped up, being produced in the man-made industrial shelters. And this is what we are trying to consume all over the world in the name of protein, in the name of fat, in the name of whatnot. And that's how we are all getting sick. Autoimmune diseases are increasing, and genetically modified disturbances having introduced in this fashion. We have got various kinds of progressive diseases like muscular dystrophy, lupus, scleroderma. All these disastrous diseases have made their entry in the last 40 years into the human race. And the medical field and the food corporate culture are not acknowledging these facts and try to continue to push the medicines and the technological advances like diagnostic techniques like MRI, CT scan, ultrasound scan, and whatnot. All these things are being completely pushed on us in the name of trying to bring health back into the sick people. How can you bring sickness out of our body? The only way is to make our body healthy. You cannot stop one sickness by giving tablet and converting into another sickness. So this is the path that the modern medical field has taken. And having worked in the so-called multinational companies, I have understood that they are not interested in really healing people, rather they are interested in doing business. So that being the conclusion that I have come to, I decided to come back to India and then start working on real healing foods. God has not been foolish in creating various wonderful grains on this planet. So It took me not more than 3 days to figure out that our ancestors were eating the food that was naturally available in their geographical conditions. And then lo and behold, I chanced upon the wonderful millets, which actually are great structurally fitting into our digestive canal, because we need to release glucose slowly and steadily into our blood. But the rice, the wheat, the milk, the sugar that we are eating present day foods are not doing this job. They release the glucose like a flood into our bloodstream. So instead of having 5 grams in the whole bloodstream of glucose, we are dumping maybe 50 grams to 100 grams when we eat rice, wheat, sugar. Thus, we are creating glucose imbalance in our body. To correct that glucose imbalance, the liver, the pancreas, the endocrine system is overworking and creating glycogen, cholesterol, triglycerides, rheumatic factors, and all other unwanted materials that the body does not need in such high quantities are produced and stacked away in the blood vessels, creating the blood pressure in the human body. So you see, even 20-year-old, in fact, the other day in my clinic, one boy appeared at the age of 12, he has blood pressure. And he's already on the tablets for the last 1.5 years. So this is the problem that we have created. And then the doctors are giving tablets instead of correcting his food. So the boy was eating eggs, sugar, Pepsi, Coke, all these kinds of food materials increase the glucose imbalance, and trying to correct that, our body is making excess of cholesterol, excess of triglycerides, excess of glycogen, excess of meat, and the boy is obese. All these problems have come because we have not taken care of the real food. So if your blood is being flooded with glucose in large quantities, we have created glucose imbalance. At any given time, you cannot have more than 5 grams of glucose in your blood. That means the release of glucose into your bloodstream should be slow and steady and controlled and regulated. And that job can be done only if your grain has enough amount of fiber. So wheat, rice fail utterly in this particular definition. They don't have any fiber at all. Wheat has 1.2 grams of fiber and rice has got only 0.2 grams of fiber. So whenever you eat wheat and rice, you are creating glucose imbalance. And we have seen the result in the last 50 years. The whole world has become glucose imbalanced. Hence, many of the diseases have been increasing in the last 50 years all over the world, just not in India alone. So this is the problem. The diabetics in the world are now 23% all over the world. Of course, a country like India or China, where we eat more rice, because glucose imbalance is very heavily tilted, we are finding more and more number of people becoming diabetic condition. And these are the basic reasons that all over the world sicknesses are appearing. One is glucose imbalance. Another is microbial imbalance. Because of steroids and antibiotics that we are eating, we have washed off all the good microbes that are resting in our body, that are inhabiting our gut. Gut is called intestines. The gut microbes have been killed by the so-called technological advances of producing this food with a lot of pesticides, lot of fertilizers, lot of antibiotics, lot of steroids. So the production method of our present day industrial food itself is the basic reason for all the diseases that we are trying to combat with. And the medical world not acknowledging that the diseases are arising from this aspect, they are trying to fix it, quick fix in terms of medicine and then the technology. And this is the disconnect we have. So the healing takes place when we correct the food. And the food that we eat should be able to release glucose in slow and steady fashion. How did I do this? I have taken 100 diabetic patients whose HbA1c was 10 and 12. So these guys cannot hold any glucose in their blood. So immediately within 1 hour, they release it into their urine. And so we selected 100 diabetic patients and did renal tolerance test. So we started feeding these patients different porridges like kodo porridge, foxtail porridge, barnyard porridge, and then rice porridge and wheat porridge. Lo and behold, these 5 grains which we have graded as positive grains, siridhanya, take more than 3 to 4 hours to release glucose into the urine compared to rice. Within 40 minutes, rice, wheat release the glucose in large quantities. And even after 3-4 hours, you will not find high amounts of glucose in the urine of these diabetic patients. That is called renal tolerance test. So when we figured this, it's a matter of just 3 hours to 4 hours of testing. We tabled, we graded these grains in terms of their holding capacity of the glucose releasing into the blood. So these 5 grains, foxtail millet, kodo millet, little millet, barnyard millet, brown top millet. These 5 millets have got 8% to 12.5% of fiber, basically being the main moderator, rather regulator of glucose release into our body. So we started feeding these diabetic patients for 2 to 3 months, food made by only these 5 grains. Lo and behold, their HbA1c, which was 10, 12, came down to 5 and 6, just a matter of 3 months. So the short-term test was renal tolerance test, and the long-term test, 3 months later, you check HbA1c. 90% of these patients responded, their HbA1c going down even up to 6, and 5 or 10% who did not follow it strictly, now and then drinking coffee and tea, taking milk and eating rice and wheat, came down to 8 and 7. So this is how we discovered the beautiful healing properties of these 5 grains. Of course, bajra, ragi, that is finger millet, and jowar, all these things come in between. So we placed them as neutral millets. 5 grains neutral millets, 5 grains positive millets, and this wheat and rice, which are the industrial donation, rather gift for the human race, are actually tabled as negative grains because they are only causing diseases to the human race, and not only diseases, environmentally destroying the planet, because to produce this wheat and rice, each kilo of it takes approximately 8 to 10,000 liters of drinking water. So we build dams and then produce this wheat and rice, and of course sugarcane in the name of sweets. We are destroying the planet because 33% of agricultural land is used for these materials to be grown in large quantities on this planet, not only destroying the water and making the soil completely denuded and then totally non-fertility. The soil is becoming less and less fertile as the time goes by. These are the experiences and the results we have found in the last 40, 50 years in the field of modern agriculture and in the field of human health and in the field of modern medicine. So we have not healed, not even a single diabetic patient is healed by the modern medical field. Whereas when we change the food to our ancestral grains, 100 out of 100 diabetic patients can be healed in a matter of 6 months to 2 years, because many of these patients are addicted to insulin, glycomet, all these various forms of tablets that just take care of sugar being not sugar, but they convert into different other kinds of toxic materials in the body, and the diabetic patients generally degenerate into various complicated cases like dialysis patients, gangrene patients, neuropathic patients, retinopathy. All these are side effects, or rather long-term ill effects of being diabetic. So all these issues put together is a big business proposal for the medical establishment, and hence they are not interested in finding any kind of cure for this disease. So I have put it very shortly. The microbial balance has created various other digestive problems, piles, hemorrhages, because the gut microbes are the ones who actually do the real job of distributing the nutrients, distributing the vitamins, distributing all the required enzymes. Everything that has to be planned and executed is done by our gut microbes along with our endocrine systems. So we are actually claiming that brain is here, but the real brain for human body is in the gut. That's why we call most often, do you have the gut feeling? If the gut is right, everything goes well. So if you are spoiling your microbial balance, the good and non-pathogenic, there are pathogenic microbes and non-pathogenic microbes. And then pathogenic microbes create diseases, non-pathogenic or symbiotic microbes create health in your body. So encouraging, establishing, and replenishing the symbiotic, non-pathogenic bacteria, non-pathogenic microbes in your gut is one of the main activities that human beings should be involved with if you want to be healthy, because that is the first level of health taken care of. All the good things happen if your microbial gut population is doing well. And for that, we have studied our ancestral food habits, which is called fermented porridge. So you take any of these wonderful 5 grains, soak them well. Because why do we soak the grains? Because there is a lot of fiber. Whereas rice and wheat, you don't need to soak. You just put it in boiling water, they get cooked. Whereas these grains do not do that. You have to soak them so that the water is absorbed by this fiber, fully wet, fully hydrated fiber, then gets cooked very well in a matter of 5 to 10 minutes. And that well-cooked porridge, porridge means 1 unit of rice, siridhanya, millets, you need to add 10 units of water. That is, if you take 100 grams, you need to add 1 liter of water for this particular rice to soak. So enough water is absorbed by the grain, and then you cook, and then the porridge, watery like this porridge, you leave it overnight in a mud pot. Fermentation takes place. The wonderful non-pathogenic symbiotic bacteria and microbes start settling down. And then when you consume this, and in Hindi it is called khameer, khameer. When you take this khameer, you start filling your intestines with this well-meaning, good microbes in your body. Once that happens over a period of 6 weeks, your health starts falling in place, because these microbes, along with your living cells, start doing the miracle of healing you, because they know where is the problem. They know what is required. They know how much is required. They know how to send it there. So you have a problem in your brain, they know how to fix it, where the problem is. So they are the sensors, they are the regulators, they are the mediators, they are the moderators, they are the executors. So these are the beautiful jobs that these microbes do for us. So once you start taking khameer, initially when you have soaked, cooked, and then left it over for 6 to 8 hours, depending upon the place where you live. See, now in Mysore, it is pretty cold. I mean, temperatures are cold. So it may take more time for the khameer to be ready. Ambali, we call in South Indian language. North India, it is called khameer. So once you start consuming khameer, that means what I'm trying to communicate is people who want to shift from rice, wheat to millets, first try to consume khamir slowly and steadily, once a day, twice a day, thrice a day. Then the transition from eating rice or wheat to millets is become very easy for you without much problems. You will succeed in getting your body getting adjusted to, because the microbes are the ones that will do the job. Once you get adjusted, then you can make roti, chapati, pulka, paratha, or rice, pulao, everything you can make with these 5 wonderful grains, and idli, dosa, South Indian, all kinds of recipes you can make. And I have already sent the participants the PDFs. All of them should contain all this information very clearly. In Hindi, it is also there, and English is also there. And along with this, we have been blessed by God various kinds of leaves, which can actually fix many of our problems in a quick manner. Temporarily, if we are having troubles, and permanently, they can settle down many of your health problems. And instead of drinking coffee and tea, we shift, and our native culture was actually kashaya, that is decoctions of various kinds of leaves. Tulsi kashai, people leaves kashai, amrutpal ka patta ka kashai. All these are actually the basic food habits that were followed by our ancestors, say 200, 300 years ago. And once we fall back to these wonderful, scientifically proven methods of fixing our imbalances, we will get back our health. And that's what I did in the last 30, 40 years, trying to communicate to my patients and convincing them that by consuming these millets, they can in fact reverse their cancerous conditions, their diabetic conditions. In fact, we have cured thousands of gangrenous patients who are about to lose their legs and fingers for amputation. They have been now walking freely with completely healed foot, not losing a single finger. Thousands of them. The same way, retinopathy. A lot of people, highly diabetic people, who are about to lose their eyes, by reversing HbA1c from 10-11 to 5-6 in a matter of 6 months to 2 years, even their eyesight has come back to normal. So these kinds of wonderful reversal of diseased conditions can be achieved by just changing food. It's not the medicines that have healed these conditions. It is the right food. So that means the human beings in the last 50, 60 years, blindly following the West, the industrial food culture, have lost their health. Nothing else has happened. So it's a simple job for all of us to shift to our desi food. In fact, these are all the grains that were still available when I came back 30 years ago, but people had forgotten. They didn't even know. So when I said arka, or in our language we call arka, kodo chawal in North, what is kodo chawal? People started asking me. But then even today, if you go to Chhattisgarh and the mountainous areas there, the tribals are still growing that. And in fact, they are still eating. But unluckily, the government is trying to communicate to them that eat rice, we will provide you free. And all in these kinds of schemes, they are making them sick. And that is the sad news that is happening. So instead of the government shifting to our natural desi foods, we are all in terms of green revolution, white revolution, brown revolution, pink revolution. Now everyone wants to be eating meat. So now pink revolution is going to happen because they have figured out how to make meat in large quantities with biotechnology, and you start eating that, the GMO foods, your health will go kaput, 100% guaranteed. So the only way to be healthy is to shift back to nature. And nature, without disturbing nature, we can grow this. We can feed not 7 billion, we can feed 70 billion people, because these grains grow anywhere and everywhere, mountainous regions and including desert, just near deserts we can grow. In fact, we have grown at the temperature of 43, 44 degrees. These grains will grow. In fact, in the next 10 years, if we cannot control the temperature up to this so-called Glasgow meeting, 1.5 degrees centigrade rise should not be happening, because the reason is you cannot grow rice and wheat if it grows beyond that. So they are not able to figure out how do we grow food if the temperature goes beyond 1.5 degrees centigrade as of now. So even if it goes 3 degrees centigrade high, I am sure we cannot control. This Glasgow meetings are all bogus. These leaders simply talk, make big fuss, but nothing happens, because they are not going to stop people eating meat, or they are not going to announce that eating meat and rice and wheat and producing so much sugar on this planet is the basic cause of our global warming, actually. So you have to stop producing these materials in such a way that we can shift to the millets, which will actually mitigate all the problems in one shot. Because to grow this, you don't need dams, you don't need to cut forests, you don't need to deforest. Whatever land is available, open land, within 3 to 4 rains are good enough for them to be grown. So now 80% of the land on this planet is going waste. We are not producing food. We are only using 15 to 16% of the land to produce the agricultural land, and then trying to fit the needs of the human population, which is the most unscientific thing that is happening according to me. So when we release this bondage from rice, wheat, and meat, when we shift to millets, now the whole 85% of the land is food production place. So everywhere and anywhere we can produce food. And the water, to produce 1 kilo of rice and wheat, you are using 10,000 liters. And now come to millets, it's only 300 liters. That means in 10,000 liters, you are going to be producing 30 kilos of these grains. So instead of eating 1 kilo grain of rice or wheat, we're going to produce 30 kilos. And each kilo of this grain can be eaten by 10 people, whereas rice and wheat only 5 or 6 people consume. So that way, we are actually double the efficiency of this grain. That means if you give 10 people 1 kilo, 10 people can be satisfied and fully stomach full, and they're happy and healthy. See, so many benefits, environmentally sound practices, because we don't disturb the real natural resources, including water, is saved. So 30 kilos means 300 people's food you're producing, whereas rice and wheat, only 5 people eat. So 5 people's food, now the resource can be transformed into 300 people's food. So imagine the wonderful benefits that we can reap just by changing food. That means if you are producing food for 5 people now, changing food to millets, you can produce food for 300 fellows in terms of water. How wonderful it is, how beautiful it is, and how scientific it is. And after eating these grains, you will not have BP, you will not have diabetes, you will not have cancer, you will not have thyroid, you will not have rheumatism, you will not have many of autoimmune diseases. And we have recently found in the last 10 years, many of these so-called progressive diseases like muscular dystrophy, SLE, scleroderma, multiple sclerosis, MND, many of the patients are now completely getting recovered. In the last 10 years, we have found hundreds of these cases getting well. So it is such an exciting discovery for me that we can keep human race out of sickness if we follow certain simple rules. And hence, I have actually made the protocols. In fact, the title of today's talk is Protocols of Millets and various accompaniments of decoctions that are associated with each particular disease. In fact, there is a book recently updated and released. This PDF is still not ready. All 108 protocols, which I have sent you PDF in Hindi, all are incorporated in this book, and a lot of information about the greens, leaves, and everything. So for just example, I will read what are the grains that you have to take, and for one or two important diseases, and then you people have the PDF in your hand. You can all go through step by step, and more than 108 disease conditions are being worked out, and only if more than 100 patients have gotten well, that has entered this table. So that means dialysis. There are harshingar, dhania ka patta, atibala, ranapala. These 4 or 5 decoctions along with kutki, sama, kodo, 3 days, barnyard, and then foxtail and brown top each day. You start eating this fashion on a rotation basis. Within a matter of 6 months, the dialysis condition can be slowly and steadily overcome. That means many of the dialysis patients have come out of dialysis following this food protocol and enjoying the good health. And then next, diabetes. Of course, that is the basic discovering disease we have worked for. And so gilai, pudina, drumstick, मेथी का पत्ते और धनिया का पत्ता, एक कषाय पीने से आपको बहुत लाभ होगा. और सावा, कोदो, कुटकी, जिंगेरा और हरा सावा, each 2 days if you eat and then rotate in long run, 6 months to 2 years, even if you are taking 20 units of insulin in the morning, 20 units of insulin in the evening, slowly and steadily you can throw away the insulin in a matter of 6 months to 9 months, and then steadily become totally medicine free and be happily, healthily living next rest of your life. In fact, we have now more than 100 patients right now in my clinic who have left insulin and been all right for the last 15 years actually. And they keep meeting me on a regular basis. That means we have had the record of people coming to us, not taking any medicine, including our medicines, no medicines, and we have still been maintaining contact. Now, actually, the oldest man now is 80 years old. He has stopped his insulin when he was at the age of 65. Until today, he has had no problem following these protocols. So it's not that 1 year you are all right, again you do something, something else happens. No, this is for good. This is for good. Health is for good. And that's how your food should be, isn't it? So that is the beauty of eating millets and various protocols. In fact, I will read for you varicose veins. Lot of people have a lot of problems in the varicose veins. So what you need to do, we suggest people to sleep in a gravity position. That means you keep 2 small stones under your cot and let the head be inclined position so that the gravity works in your body. The legs should be kept to the wall, the higher positions, and then your head should be low. So overnight, the blood starts flowing and the varicose veins, the legs, and not only varicose veins, your kidneys, your liver, all these things start functioning better when you sleep in that position. Basically, trying to beat the heart problem. The heart has to pump the blood against the gravity. So these are simple natural methods which we have been suggesting to our patients in the last 15 years. And then many of them getting well by following these simple natural principles and eating vegetables, various kinds of vegetables. In fact, for heart problem, you can refer to the book, heart related problems. We have suggested basically to drink juices of ashgard, juice of cucumber, juice of loki. Just by drinking these juices every day early morning on your khali pet mein, empty stomach, within 9 weeks, many of these complicated heart problems, in fact, the efficiency of pumping efficiency, which is below 35, 40, people die thereof. We have successfully increased it to 65, 70% within a matter of 9 weeks to 10 weeks by following this protocol. that is, tachycardia, after heart attack, and many kids are born nowadays with hole in the heart. These kinds of complicated diseased conditions can also be set right following the particular protocols given in the PDF. So healthy protocols. And another, for example, infertility. Women not having babies. Of course, men also have got contribution. Their sperm count not being all right. They don't have sperms at all, azoospermia, and then oligospermia, different kinds of, there are, though the number of sperm count is there, the diseased sperms are more in number. So all these infertility causes have been set right following Sama for 3 days, the remaining grains each 1 day, and then using Niger seed oil, coconut oil, and sesame seed oil early in the morning on empty stomach. Within a matter of 6 months, they have corrected the problem and healthy babies are born. For girls whose menstrual cycles are disturbed, and then polycystic ovary diseases, all these kinds of complicated cases wherein the technology is being used in the medical field, present-day establishment, body in vitro fertilization, IVF, hormone treatment, and causing enormous damage to emotional balance of the women that are going through these procedures. All these things are completely wiped out, absolutely decimated, no issues at all. Just change your food, change your life. As simple as that. So very non-invasive, non-troubling, simple, straightforward, and very, very common man can practice this. So the books, the protocols are written just like handbooks, so that anyone who can just read the language can. In fact, Dr. Pallav is working very hard to make this available in Gujarati also. In fact, he is working very hard. I think in a matter of month or so, all these protocols are going to be available in Gujarati also. And we have also worked out for 20 to 25 cancerous conditions, like lung cancer, bone cancer, brain cancer, blood cancer, intestinal cancer, skin cancer, and rectal cancer. All these things are being, protocols are being enlisted in the book, both in English and Hindi. We have made it available. Of course, they are available in South Indian languages also, Kannada, Telugu, all these things we have been working. Here, I being in Karnataka, I am being Kannadiga. We have started that in the first Kannada language, and then we have slowly, recently, some Bengali friends also have approached us. We have given the books to them. They are also translating. And Punjabi, it's already there. They have translated. I have visited Punjab some 10, 15 times in different places. We had the good opportunity of meeting a lot of farmers, and we have educated them. And they're all trying to grow these grains. And I hope Gujarat also follows the suit, and we intend to come to Gujarat and work towards creating sustainable millet farming communities in Gujarat. In fact, Gujarat is a very old basket of these millets. In fact, everyone knows that their ancestors were eating millets, but slowly and steadily, of course, Gujarat being now a very industrial hub of all things in India, have transformed themselves into this wheat and rice eating communities. And in fact, when I came to Gujarat last before month, Dr. Palla was mentioning that we are #1 in diabetic in the country. So it felt very sad for me that with all the advanced technologies, we are actually becoming #1 in every diseases. Now that's very sad to know, but we can reverse it. And that's the good news. That's the good news. Now let's get back to our ancestral foods, desi food, and we'll be all fine. It's a matter of 2 years. Actually, I keep now and then people call me sometimes very arrogant because I keep saying, if we all stop drinking milk, half the hospitals can be closed. I mean, that's the kind of health benefits we'll have when we follow nature. isn't it? So I actually don't feel bad by saying these things, because we can really do it. It's possible. It is very much within our reach. And we all are not choosing to be so. We are not choosing to be natural. We want to be following this artificial food culture and fall into this trap of medicine and then advanced technologies. All this is a big vicious cycle that I want our country people to break. Hug the nature, hug a tree, be with the tree, be with some plants. You will start becoming healthy. Instead, what we are doing is going away from nature and becoming more sick, and then trying to become artificial in choosing different kind of healing method. We think allopathy heals, but it never heals. It only manages your problem. You are doing okay. It never good. Just okay, manage. And the accumulation of the toxic materials in your body ends you up in an ICU. And this is the reality. So let's beat this track. Let's get into a wonderful natural cycles which can release us from the bondage of sickness, and let's make our bodies fly into health and heaven. And that I'm sure, because I've been in the last 30 years experiencing this wonderful health benefits of following this wonderful lifestyle. And I'm now 64, and I have not taken a single tablet till today. And that's the beauty. That's the beauty. And everyone can be like this. This is not a miracle. This is not a miracle. This is absolute science based on experimentation. We have checked with thousands of people. In fact, off late of this social media, my videos going viral. Many places, people not meeting me have been just following the protocols and then reporting to me that they have been doing very well and they have got healed themselves. Thyroid problem is gone. Diabetes is gone. In fact, many blood cancer patients have been reporting that they were actually getting blood infused every 15 days once. Now they have stopped it. Now it's once in 45 days. And many people have just said we have completely stopped and we are doing fine by ourselves. So these kinds of good things are being reported in the last 10, 15 months, much more than before. And so I feel excited. And then when Dr. Pallav introduced me to your group, and Vijay said, please come, and I was more than happy and excited to communicate and share all this information with you people. And I hope you guys will benefit from these protocols and help the human race in your part of the world. And let's take it forward with all your cooperation and help and make Gujarat disease free. Thank you very much for giving me this opportunity. All you wonderful guys are doing good jobs, and thank you very much.
So now we have time for question and answer session.
Yes, certainly.
So if any of our member would like to ask directly to the faculty, then please unmute yourself and can go ahead.
Yeah, in fact, I have kept at least 20-25 minutes for question and answer. So just me not talking alone, so people can clear.
Hello, sir.
Yes.
Yes, I have a question for you.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So you have told that milk of, the milk is coming into the meat category and it is not digestible. So I want to ask you whether the unprocessed pure cow milk is digestible, or it is safe to consume for us human being. What are your thoughts?
No, even the desi cow's milk is not good for us, because it can also cause disturbances in our body. And cow's milk is basically produced for the calf, not for your milk or for your babies. And we need to shift to plant-based milk. Like coconut milk is absolutely almost like your mother's milk, minus the hormones that can cause damage. So the best milk substitute for human body in our part of the world is coconut milk. Coconut milk. And next best milk is finger millet, ragi millet, ragi milk, which has got high amounts of calcium, which is very much needed for the baby's growth. So we have figured out, and the protocol book has got all the details about this milk. And milk is animal protein. So our body cannot actually deal with it properly. Once it is dealt by the microbes, lactobacillus, and becomes chash, curd, then it's okay. That means what I'm trying to communicate to you is milk is non-vegetarian and chash is vegetarian. Because the transformation of the microbes takes place, the fermentation takes place. So chash is okay for you, milk is not okay for you.
Okay. So I have been following Sri Rajiv Disikji in the recent past, and I can align himself with you because he was also a mechanical engineer, I think so. And
Yeah.
he has resigned from a top level executive to turn himself into the Ayurvedic and ancient Ayurvedas, and he has been following as well as preaching the community in a vast manner. So he was telling that yes, the buffalo milk and the other milks that are high in these proteins and fats are not digestible, but we can very well consume the cow milk, because in the ancient times the Rishumunis and all other
No. Even in ancient, Rajiv Dikshit is completely wrong if he says that cow milk can be digested. It is completely proven in the present day science. We know the genes are switched off. You can consume the desi. Okay, I'll give you one simple example. Hamara Krishna Kanaya is makhan ka chor, doodh ka chor nahi tha. Why did he not steal milk if milk can be taken? And there was no milk. And people were not stealing milk from the cow calves. They were allowing the calves to drink, and very little milk was left. And they were fermenting, making curds and then chas. And that's why even in Gujarat and Rajasthan, even if you go today, the hotels write dal bati chas. Why not dal bati doodh, if that is true? So even Rajiv Dikshit is wrong when he says you can take desi cow's milk. No cow's milk. Cow gives milk not for you. It gives milk for the baby, for the calf. So whatever is left, that is converted into chash, and then we could consume. And that's what was happening in the past. Our ancestors had a lot of buttermilk, because you can add whatever little curd is there, you can add, and 10 people could drink. In fact, you go to Guru Gobind Singh, our Sikh Nanak, he also says lacto-vegetarianism. In fact, come down to south, there is Guru Basava is there. Basava clearly says no milk at all. So we have in different areas, our great ancestors, sadhus and visionaries have clearly said no milk. And if you are taking milk, you are doing violence on Gomata. So you can take it's what it doesn't want. But cow's milk is meant for the babies. So please do not do the damage to the cow. And if it is left, then you can take chash. Chash is okay. And scientifically, it is non-vegetarian to vegetarian. The transformation takes place. And the same thing happens in our tummy. When you eat vegetables, you make meat. That's because of the microbes that are there in our body. So that's what is the problem with all of us. We are not understanding this transformation, the fermentation, the microbes. So we are eliminating microbes and starting to become sick. So that's what I talked about: glucose balance, microbial balance, hormone balance. So when you drink milk, even if it is desi cows, you will disturb your hormone balance. Hormone balance is very bad.
Okay, got it, sir, completely. And I have one last question for it. So what are your thoughts on the organic, the rice and wheat prepared from organic manure and that are not polished? That is
absolutely. There is not much help from organic rice organic wheat. It is not going to control your glucose levels in the blood. So it's not going to help you reverse any disease at all. Absolutely zero. We have done all that work, various kinds of different rices without removing the fiber. All that we have done experiments on more than 200, 300 patients, and no one could recover with organic rice and organic wheat. Only millets, these 5 millets can reverse the diseases completely.
And I want to just clear myself regarding. I have been hearing like the millets is hot in nature, like it is in Hindi it is said like वो गर्मी पैदा करता है.
गर्मी पैदा होता है, तो आपको एक ही तरीका है, आपको सही तरह से भिगोने से वो हीट चल जाता है. वो हाइड्रेशन ऑफ फाइबर, जलीकरण, वो रेश को जलीकरण करना है. So when you soak the grain 6 to 8 hours and then cook, then eat, no heat is coming. But most of us now are not knowing how to cook millets. We are just putting it like rice, in the cooker, and then we think outside it is cooked, but inside it is not cooked. So once you soak, भिगो के 6-5 घंटे भिगोने के बाद हम उसको पकाना है. So इस तरीके से आपको कोई प्रॉब्लम नहीं होता है.
Okay, sir. Thank you very much.
I have a question, sir.
Yes, sir.
Let's say I go to the office and my food is cooked early in the morning and I have it after 4-5 hours.
Yeah.
Does it have impact on my health anyway?
No, especially millets. Once you have soaked it well and then cooked, it takes at least, especially even in hot conditions, takes more time to get spoiled. Unlike rice and wheat, which actually can go bad in a matter of 4-5 hours if the weather is hot. Like गर्मी में बहुत जल्दी वो microbes, bad microbes take over. So millets, it doesn't happen because of the fiber. It actually starts resisting. Your disease resistance also increases because of this fiber content. So with millets, 4 to 5 hours is not at all a problem.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir.
Sir, I have a question.
Yes.
There is one Jagannath Dikshit in Maharashtra. He's telling about 2-meal diet plan. Have you heard about it? And he's saying that by following this 2-meal diet plan, you can reverse the diabetes. And he is claiming that there are a lot of people who have been cured by this method.
Yeah, no, see, how many times you eat depends on what you do. Basically, if you are a hard-working man, you need to eat 2 times or 3 times. Whenever you are hungry, you can eat. See, and of course, most of them are actually suggesting a lot of vegetables and fruits, not eat rice and wheat. If you start eating rice and wheat, you will certainly be again gaining your glucose problems. So anyone can actually reverse diabetes, but how can we keep sustaining ourselves throughout life? See, there are many people who can reverse diabetes by just eating fruits or raw food for a few months. Within no time, you lose your diabetic condition. But then what? Next, again, you go and eat rice and wheat. Again, you will get into problem.
Yes, sir.
There is no problem here in millet. You can eat everything sumptuously. पेट भर खा सकते हैं and absolutely no problems because the glucose imbalance is regulated by the food itself. There is nothing to worry. That is the advantage, and this is more scientific. And you can eat any number of times. Whenever you are hungry, you should eat. We also say eat when you are hungry. If you are not hungry, don't eat.
Achha, sir, Gujarati names for these millets, we are not able to understand this. What are the Gujarati names?
That will be shared.
Yeah. That Dr. Pallav has already made the PDF. It is going to come to you people. Okay.
Sir, can we make a flour of millets and make roti and eat it?
Absolutely. There is a booklet called Pakasri, which we have already sent you as a PDF. How to make roti, how to make paratha, everything is given. All the recipes are there. In fact, there is a video channel called Millet Magic Dr. Sarla. All the videos, how to cook different foods, videos are there. You can just follow the video channel.
Because in roti, soaking will not be there, na? The grains will not be soaked because of flour. So
No, you can, everything is worked out. Absolutely. You can make everything wonderful. We make regular.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, video, just follow the video. Millet Magic Dr. Sarla.
Sir, I have one question.
Yes.
Sir, how to take care of our eyes, as we are nowadays we are using more laptops and mobile screen, and every second
it's a
person is having
fantastic. It's a very good question. You have the protocols in your hand. Please, there is a protocol for eyes problems, various problems, including glaucoma, including retina pigmentosa. All these problems are actually reversed. And of course, my simple, sincere suggestion is not to use computer and tablets on such a heavy number of hours. So first get out of that habit. Try to make yourself more spending time in the plants and, grow some small garden, spend time with plants and trees. Then your eyesight will improve. Okay.
So this is retina pigmentosa.
People who have retina pigmentosa also have healed themselves following the protocol given to you. Eyes protocol.
Yes.
The
Hello,
fiber
sir.
in that particular grains will help you to clean up your eyes.
But sir, as we are CS students, we have to use a computer for long hours. That is for 10 to 12 hours.
Yeah, you break it up, Amma. We say you work for 2 hours and then give a gap of 10-15 minutes. Again, work for 2 hours, give a gap of 10-15 minutes. That much you have to do. Otherwise, you will soon start disturbing many other nerves. Not only your eyesight, other nerves also get disturbed.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
Hello, sir.
Yes.
I have a question. I have read somewhere that for good health, all we have to do is to manage your vat, pit, and cough. Can you give some suggestions and precautions regarding this?
Again, can you repeat the question?
I have read somewhere that for good health, all we have to do is we have to manage our vat, pit, and cough, right? So,
okay, that is Ayurvedic way of doing things. Vata, Pitta, Kapha. Okay.
Yes.
There is a medical system, say Ayurvedic system, allopathic system, homeopathic system, like that. Basically, they have grouped into these kinds of understanding. So in the modern understanding, that's the same thing I'm also talking, like glucose imbalance, microbial imbalance, and hormone imbalance. So when you take care of these three, most of the Vata, Pitta, Kapha gets set right. So that's how you do it. Basically, it's a way of understanding how to maintain good health. And Ayurveda, according to me, is the most beautiful concept. And we need to follow those principles. And in that sense, they tell you when to eat, when not to eat, how not to eat. All these issues are clearly explained in the system of Ayurveda, and they have grouped some materials like Vata materials. Some materials cause Kapha, like doodh. Doodh is increasing your Kapha contents. So you stop drinking milk, your Kapha balances. So the same way, you stop eating certain vegetables or certain meat content, it will increase your Pitta. So if you stop eating meat, your Pitta getting balanced, like that. So this is how the connections are made in Ayurveda, and they have do's and don'ts. Very strictly, if you follow, you can maintain health. In fact, that's how our ancestors were very healthy for a long periods of time.
Thank you so much, sir.
Sir, can we suddenly stop having milk?
What?
Can we suddenly stop having milk? We've been
Oh,
having milk for
yes.
so
Oh,
many
yes.
years.
See, it's a, we are doing bad things. So stopping bad things will always lead you to go. Basically, you are addicted. So the problem is, it's not that stopping is going to trouble you. It is that you are addicted to these chemicals. You find it difficult. So de-addiction has to take place slowly and suddenly. You should not do, because you become mad when you stop coffee or when you stop milk. You are going to search for them. So that's why many doctors, including me, say slowly and steadily get out of these habits. So first start introducing yourself to millet khameer once, and then you can eat rice or chapati for 2 times. Then over a period of 3 to 4 weeks, make it 2 times millets and 1 time wheat. And then another 3-4 weeks, you switch over to completely millets. So don't suddenly switch over. But even if you switch over, nothing actually happens. But we suggest, because you are addicted to sugar, coffee, milk, it's better to slowly and steadily transit. So start 1 meal. Then after 2 to 3 weeks, take 2 meals. Another 3 weeks. Let it take 9 more weeks or even 3 months. It doesn't matter, because you are going to be all right later. So the transition, the effort is worth doing. Even if it takes 6 months, make an effort to get out of these bad things and get into good life. That's it. Yeah. So don't need to be in a hurry. Okay. You're doing all bad things. Slowly and steadily, let's get out of it.
Hello.
Yeah.
Sir, what
Sir,
about fruits? Sweet fruits, can the diabetic patient consume those fruits?
Yeah, of course, but not the fruits that are available in the market, because you can get cancer. So many chemicals they're spraying. So if you have organic fruits, you can eat banana, you can eat jackfruit, you can eat guava fruit, you can eat any fruit that you have if you are growing them organically. That is without chemicals. If you grow, all fruits are very good. Amrutafal, everything can be eaten. Most of it is fructose based. You see, you have sweetness due to fructose. The fruits have fructose in high content. Not that there is no glucose. There is some glucose, but then fruits, most of it is made out of water. 95% is water. That means even if you eat 1 kilo of fruit, you are getting only 50 grams of the real material. Out of that 50 grams, you will have 5 grams of sweet material. Out of that, you will have only 1 or 5% of it is glucose. So even if you eat 1 kilo banana, you are getting only 5 to 10 grams of glucose. Okay. You understand what I'm saying? So yes, fruits are no problem at all for anyone.
We can ripen the bananas naturally, no, sir, that we can buy the raw bananas and keep in some.
No. While growing themselves, they are having lot of chemicals, boss. That you should understand. No, without making sure that they are grown organically, don't touch any fruit. I don't want to touch any fruit in the market, because all of them are grown with chemicals. So you go to an organic farmer, buy your banana, you can eat, no problem at all. Absolutely no problem. Okay?
Sir,
or you buy chiku and then eat, no problem.
Sir, how to identify that fruits are organic or they are chemically?
That you should know the farmer. You should trust the farmer. See, that means you go to lab, except checking technology, checking, that is all very difficult. How can you check? How many times will you check, madam? You need to know your farmer. You need to know the organic shop. You need to depend and trust that fellow. That fellow should be trustworthy. That's the only way. See, only human beings can solve the problem, not machines and technology. You have to have trust, and the fellow who is giving you the banana saying organic, he should be trustworthy. This is the only way, nothing else.
Sir, one more
Sir,
question. Nowadays, sir,
yeah, go ahead.
One more question. Nowadays, vitamin deficiencies are very common. So how to balance the vitamin deficiencies?
Vitamin deficiency is taken care by the microbes that are in your guts. So please start drinking khameer on a regular basis. All the vitamins, the imbalances are going to be taken care of by microbes, including vitamin B12, which is not available anywhere. People are nowadays saying you take injection, you do this, you do that. And vitamin D, they are saying your milk has got vitamin D, we have fortified. But what happened? All people are having vitamin D deficiency. So vitamin D you will get only from sun. So early morning, just sit in the sun for 10-15 minutes. You will be all right. So this is how you take care of. So you take ambali, you take khamir. Most of your vitamin problems will be solved in a matter of 6 months to 1 year. Absolutely, completely clear.
Sir, recipe of khamir, can you please share?
What, madam?
That is shared in the group. That is shared in the group.
Okay.
Oh, the
okay.
ambali. Yeah, it is there. A Millet Magic, Dr. Sarala, YouTube, you check. Step-by-step videos are done.
Okay, sir.
Sir, we
And the
have,
PDF,
Sir, I
the
have
book itself is there in your hand.
Sir, I have two doubts.
Yes.
First is, can we combine two or more millets? If so, like, are there any restrictions on the side effects that could happen
No, there are no
if we
side effects.
combine?
There are no side effects, but the real good effect is lost. You understand this? So when you take kodo millet,
Okay.
your blood is cleaned and all related to blood problems are solved. And if you eat foxtail millet, your lungs and nerves are cleaned. Okay? And if you eat little millet, your genital problems, that is ovary, uterus and breast, all these problems are solved. Now imagine you are mixing this. What happens? You can eat only that much, na? You cannot eat beyond 100 grams. So that means the total cleaning effect of these three is reduced to 1/3. Am I right? If you mix these three.
Correct.
So nothing is getting cleaned properly. Okay?
Okay, so that means we should have one only at a time.
One at a time. That means one full day you eat foxtail millet or 2 full days foxtail millet. You have cleaned up your body, connected to nerves and lungs. Very good. Then you eat kodo. Your blood and bone marrow is cleaned up. Then you eat little millet. Then your ovaries and this are cleaned up. So again, cycle. That's why the protocols have got those recycling, rotation. You have to keep rotating them so that your body is getting cleaned up in this particular organs on a regular basis. You understood the reason why we should not eat mixed thing. You can eat mixed, but nothing happens. That's all. I mean, this way or that way, you are there.
Correct. It's of no use. Correct. And thank you very much, sir. And sir, I had the second doubt that I had was, they say millets are very rich in fibers. So if we have excess of millets, like since we've been having millets every day in some form or the other, so would it not cause gas? Because they say if we have more of millets, it causes a lot of gas in the body.
It is
So
just
that
the
again
other way
is
around. It is just the other way around. The
okay.
fiber is the one which removes all the toxic materials in the body. And it is not that it is rich in fiber. It is right in fiber for our body. Okay, it's that you are eating non-fibrous, you are producing gas. That is wheat, rice, sugar. They are the ones which are producing these gases in your body and troubling you. So you start eating millets all that. I have been eating for the last 20 years. I have absolutely nothing to worry. You understand what I'm trying to communicate? And
yeah, absolutely, sir.
Yeah, millets generally after certain time you will eat only twice because you will not feel hungry because it is producing glucose and energy almost 6 to 9 hours on a daily basis for you. So if you eat once in the morning, you are not hungry till late in the evening. So generally in the afternoon, I take a bottle of chas or some fruit and that's it. I actually, or you eat very little, because you are not hungry. And when you are not hungry, you don't eat. Very simple. In fact, slowly and steadily, I am going to eat only once a day. In the night also, I take a little bit of khamir and then that's it. And you still feel energetic because the energy comes from the slow and steady release of this glucose. So if you eat 100 grams, you have almost 50 to 60% of it is glucose. It will slowly release and you will never feel hungry. You will never feel tired. You are always energetic and you are always healthy. In fact, that's how Sama is called Vratka Chawal. So they eat once until tomorrow evening, you can stop eating and nothing happens to you because everything is provided in one meal for 24 hours. That's the beauty of it. It's called Vratka Chawal because of this scientific reason only. Good that you asked that question. Very nice.
Thank you, sir. Sir,
There are two more questions in the chat box, and then we conclude it. One is
it's 4 p.m. I need to get back to clinic.
Yes.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah.
So it's only related to protocol, so we will address that, sir.
Yes.
So if Manisha is available?
Yes, I'm there.
Oh, yes. Please proceed for vote of thanks.
Sir, thank you
So
very much.
one second. Thank you all for having me on this platform, and I would love to come and meet you all guys sooner or later. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. It certainly is our pleasure and honor to have you today, to hear you today. You certainly have enlightened us so much on like the millets, not only the millets, but like our total lifestyle. We as Indians blindly follow the West, and we think like we are very great, and like it's a status symbol that we ape the West for every small thing,
Yes.
not forgetting our Indian culture.
Yes.
Today, what you have told us is like purely our Indian culture. You took us back to the roots. And if we want to have good health, not only health and wealth, because like there is science also involved in everything that you said today. I guess we need to go back to our roots and follow them to the T so that we can have absolutely perfect health. And in
Absolutely.
fact, it would be, and for all those of us who attended this session and those of us who would be able to see it later, watch it later, I guess all of us can make these small changes in our lifestyle and in our eating habits of where we eat, how we eat, where we eat, when we eat. And I guess that day is not far off when India will be absolutely healthy. And I guess, sir, we all are there with you to follow your dream of making India absolutely healthy. So, sir, thank you very much on behalf of all the participants present and on behalf of Ahmedabad branch of ICAI. I would like to really thank you for this wonderful session.
Thank you. Thank you all. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
I take leave of you. Take leave of you.
Special mention of Dr. Pallav, who coordinated the session and help us have your time, and Chairman, sir. And sir, thank you, sir.
Yeah, thanks to Pallav.